The Boo Hag, another very important creature that you need to understand, like all the rest of us, as we move about this land called America, because the Boo Hag is central to some of the most ancient belief systems here. Now, we learn about the Boo Hag from the Gullah or Geechee tradition, and let's be very clear about a Boo Hag right off the bat. The Boo Hag is not a ghost. A Boo Hag is a living creature. In fact, it is a parasitic being that survives by draining vitality from others, usually while they're asleep. It doesn't haunt houses, it targets people. And if a haint lingers on because it can't move, a Boo Hag moves because it chooses to feed. That's what gets him, going. Now, the main core traits that we need to understand about a Boo Hag is that this is one, a living entity and not a spirit of the dead. It appears human by day, yet monstrous by night. It can remove or even borrow skin, which it uses for its seduction ploys. It attacks primarily during sleeping or exhaustion, and it leaves its victims drained, confused, and oftentimes hollowed out. We hear this like people say they woke up wrong after Boo Hag encounters. Now, its appearance when seen is very, very important. It's seen as skinless or often very pale. It looks slick, kind of raw looking flesh. Its eyes are always kind of wrong, either bulging, flat, or just kind of reflective in a weird way. And its movements are often either too smooth, like it's slipping through the air, or far too stiff to be a normal human. They're trying to impose they're trying to imitate our movement, and they're not really doing it well. But this is the thing, you're not supposed to see a Boo Hag that clearly. Seeing it that visually means you're already vulnerable and then it wants you to see it. That's the reason. So be a little more cautious if you actually identify one of these creatures. Now, it has several abilities, the most prominent being its skin wearing trait, that it can remove its own skin and it can wear the skin of others, usually after their demise. And it'll often appear as a trusted person, a neighbor, or even a family member. Now, that's not shape-shifting by traditional logic. It's literally an identity theft by putting on your skin. And the disguise usually fails upon any real inspection. The skin doesn't usually fit right, the eyes always give it away, and the behavior is way off. Now, its main ability is sleep drain, or riding as it's known. The Boo Hag attacks at night by literally sitting on your chest or hovering above the sleeper, kind of riding the victim. The victim wakes up exhausted, weak, foggy, emotionally flattened, and repeated attacks can lead to severe illnesses or even death. This is why Boo Hags are associated with bedrooms and not necessarily graveyards. Now, this is vital essence feeding. The Boo Hag doesn't consume flesh. It feeds on life force, or energy, breath, and strength. It targets the sick, the elderly, and the overworked, as well as emotionally broken people. The Boo Hag goes where boundaries are already thin. Now, this is how you resist the Boo Hag, which is going to be very important. And Black American folklore didn't just warn people about this creature, it gave specific countermeasures. The first is salt. Now, salt disrupts the Boo Hag's ability to cross a threshold, which is the most solid form of defense. It's used to line across doorways, bowls near beds, sprinkled at windows. It's not symbolic, this is containment logic. Iron is something it's also severely allergic to. Iron grounds and anchors, so placing iron under the bed, near the doorway, or on the porch kind of weighs it out. Boo Hags thrive on imbalance, and this anchors too much solid reality for it here. The other term is calling it out. This is a crucial rule. Boo Hag loses power when they're identified. If someone is suspected and they're confronted publicly, or the community starts watching them, this breaks the feeding cycle because it wants isolation. Boo Hags rely on secrecy. Exposure weakens them massively. Another tactic is to refuse to sleep alone. Communal sleeping, especially with elders or children, is a primary defense. It's not superstition, it's safety through presence. Now, what Boo Hags represent is exploitation, parasitic survival, and predators who look familiar. People who take from the community without giving back. One of the main sayings in folklore is that threats don't typically come from the dead, they come from the living who've learned how to feed on others. Important things to know about the Boo Hag: they're highly identifiable. You have to look for them. They're almost sometimes more smoky images. And notice the behaviors of your family members. If people seem particularly drained, particularly tired, especially after long periods of sleep, it's time to invest in putting some salt around the door or having someone sleep in the room with them just to make sure. If you have some more questions or thoughts about this particular creature, please drop it in the comment section. But as always, I ask that you hit that like and subscribe.